Hey, second graders. Mrs. Duro and Mrs. Clark have asked me to join on today to do a science experiment with you guys. And today we're going to connect to your learning this week and make a rainbow in a jar. And as we make a rainbow in a jar today, there's one question I want you to think about. We're going to be using a couple liquids, and they're going to be honey, water, and rubbing alcohol, also with oil and dish soap. As we put these liquids in our jar, you're going to notice that they don't mix together. And I want you to think about, why do our liquids not mix together? We will come back and talk about that question after we get done making our rainbow in a jar. But first, let's get started. So our first layer is going to be purple. And to make purple, you're going to need red food coloring and blue food coloring. So you're going to take a couple drops of red and a couple drops of blue food coloring. And when I say a couple, I'm usually just putting in 2 drops of each. And then you'll need to go ahead and mix that together. As we're mixing, you might notice that it's turning to purple. Okay, we have just made our purple, and our next layer is going to be blue. And blue is pretty simple. It's just some regular Dawn dish soap, and you might have that at your house because your parents might do your dishes with it. So you're going to go ahead and pour some Dawn dish soap onto the top of your purple. And as you do that, you'll notice that the blue and the purple are not mixed together. They're kind of hard to see because they're close to the same color, but they're not mixed. So now that we have our purple and our blue, which are kind of hard to see, we're ready to do our next layer, which is going to be green. And for green, we're going to mix water and a couple drops of green food coloring. Now, when you pour the green into your jar, you're going to want to be very careful not to pour it too fast, or otherwise it'll make the soap bubble up. So I'm going to tip the jar and pour it slowly. Try to avoid bubbles. Now you see that our water, or our green, which is made of water, is sitting on top of our other 2 layers. So as you can see, we have our purple, blue, and green, and now we're ready to add our yellow. And our yellow is just going to be some oil, cooking oil. And to do that, I'm also going to tip this, because if I continue to pour too fast, our soap will mix with everything else. So now we have 4 layers. Hopefully you can see the colors. We have purple, blue, which is our Dawn dish soap, green, which is our water, and then we have our yellow, which is our oil. Now, if you notice, each layer we add sits on top of the previous layer. Now, why do you think that is? If you think you might know, go ahead and comment into the text bars in our Google Meet. Okay, we have one last step before our rainbow in a jar is finished. And to do our last step, we're going to use rubbing alcohol. This is something that you might have at home. Sometimes doctors use it to help clean out cuts. But to do our red layer, we're going to use our rubbing alcohol and our red food coloring. I'm just going to put a couple drops of red food coloring in there. And then we're going to go ahead and mix that together. And then again, we're going to slowly pour our red into our jar. Notice how I'm tipping my jar as I pour in so it doesn't mix and cause bubbles from the soap. So our rainbow in a jar is now complete. Now it's kind of hard to see because of the light, but we have our purple, which is at the bottom, our blue, our green, our yellow, and our red. Now we use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of liquids. And you notice that they're not mixing together. Now, why do you think that is? We'll talk about it here in a minute.